Ladies and gentlemen, good day. I'm Madhvi Gokul. I work as a Senior IP Resource Specialist at AFRINIC. It is a pleasure for me to present to you the AFRINIC report during the ARIN 47 meeting today. AFRINIC is the 5th regional internet registry, and our service region is 55 economies on the African continent and the Indian Ocean islands. We have 54 staff who work in providing services to our members and community. Let us talk about some numbers now. In 2020, AFRINIC grew by 191 new members, and it closed the year with a total of 1,951 resource members. In regard to internet number resources, slightly over 1 million of IPv4 addresses were distributed or delegated to the AFRINIC resource members. In accordance with the AFRINIC policies, 105/32s of IPv6 address space were issued and 210 AS numbers assigned to our resource members. In regard to IPv4 addresses exhaustion, AFRINIC still has 1.85 million of IP addresses in its pool. On the 13th of January 2020, AFRINIC reached soft landing phase 2, which meant at that time that it had only 1/11 worth of IP resources available in its inventory. And as from the 13th of January, the rules for allocation or assignment of IP addresses changed. The size, the maximum that can be issued in any request that is evaluated and in accordance with the policies is a /22. However, the AFRINIC resource members can come and request as many /22s as they need. As long as they can justify the need, they can get these resources. The policy landscape at AFRINIC has been very active. Currently, we have 10 proposals that are under discussion, and 2 proposals reached consensus after the public policy meeting in September 2020. Of these 2 proposals, one's ratification report has not been sent or received by the board, while the other one, the inter-area or transfer policy proposal, is currently under appeal. Now, an assessment of these 10 proposals currently under discussion shows that some of these proposals aim at modifying some aspects of the policy development process. Now, the policy development process is also a policy, and it is documented in Section 3 of the AFRINIC Consolidated Policy Manual, right? And the other proposals, they are technical proposals. For example, the resource transfer policies, the policy compliance dashboard, the RPKI ROAs, the abuse contact policy updates. So these are technical policies aimed towards resource management. Capacity building in IPv6 has remained a key activity at AFRINIC. Over 1,900 professionals have participated in 20 webinars. The IPv6 help desk attended to 227 requests, 866 participants enrolled in our e-learning courses, and 30 participants took part in 2 IPv6 deployathons. The outreach and engagement activities conducted by AFRINIC had to be adapted to the global pandemic situation in 2020. Most of them went online. And the projects completed are as follows. The Africa Internet Summit 2020 was held online with over 500 attendees. AFRINIC supported 12 regional NOGs, RGFs, and technical community events. AFRINIC also participated in 9 government roundtable meetings and conducted 17 community outreaches. 4 MOUs were signed with governments for a total amount of 9 projects. Which brings us to the last slide. The next Africa Internet Summit 2021 will be held in online format 31st of May to 4th of June 2021. The public policy meeting will also be on the agenda during that week. We encourage you, we invite you to participate in our event, and thank you very much for your attention. Until next time, stay safe and goodbye.
Hi everyone, my name is Sanjaya, Deputy General of APNIC. I'm happy to provide you a quick update of APNIC activities at this ARIN 47 online meeting. I'm going to just cover three major things that I think it's worth sharing from the APNIC community. First one is the deployment of AS0 ROA for unallocated space. And then second one, I will talk about the increase in our internet development activities. And thirdly, I will cover a little bit of what's happening with COVID-19 in our region, the impact to our members and our operations. So with that, I'll start with the first one, and that's the AS0 for unallocated space. So this came up from the proposal in our policy discussion group that receives a good support from the committee for APNIC to publish a ROA under AS0 for all its unallocated and unassigned resources. It will be, should be implemented according to RFC 6483, and that covers undelegated IPv4 and IPv6. We developed that last year, and September we put it out on production last year. And just to be on the safe side, we actually publish it under a different trust anchor from our main RPKI hierarchy. So people who, relying party who wants to use this service would actually have to add this additional trust anchor. So it needs to be a very deliberate operation from them to consume this information. The way it works is we will publish it, and then whenever there is a delegation that our hostmaster made to a member, then within 5 minutes, that prefix that was delegated will be removed from the AS0 ROA. So far so good. Since we deployed it in September, we've got, by September we had 24 AS numbers fetching regularly from the service, and that's coming from big networks actually. The AS0 ROA itself, it's quite big. The size is about 1 million bytes, 1 megabyte, and it contains about 1,500 IPv4 prefixes and more than 64,000 IPv6 prefixes. The reason why we have large IPv6 prefixes there is because of APNIC's way of delegating from our pool in a sparse manner. So there's a lot of clumps of IPv6 over the space that we have. So that's AS0 for unallocated space. The second one I want to share is about the increased internet development activities. As you probably know that APNIC has a foundation called APNIC Foundation that is raising funds to support the development activities at APNIC, and the development activity is part of our bylaw, so it is something that is expected to be done by the APNIC Secretariat. So the foundation continues to raise internet development funding from various organizations, and recently get more funding from Asia Pacific Internet Development Trust, or APIDT, that managed the fund from the auction of IPv4 address that was historically delegated to the White Project in Japan. Quite a substantial amount there. So with this additional funding, APNIC development activities in 2021 will be significantly increased, including increased face-to-face training resources, more staff trainers, as well as community trainers, which we recruit from the community themselves. So we got a team of trainers who on a daily basis operate networks, and therefore their the skill that they share is very current. We also increased the curriculum and content development of APNIC Academy online platform. And then with the additional funding, we will do more support for infrastructure development projects such as root server deployment. In particular, this year we'll be focusing on mRoot, that happens to be from the Asia region, and also helping others to set up internet exchange and any infrastructure development that needs to be done in the region. So that's on increased internet development activities. And last but not least is to give you a quick update of what happens with COVID-19 in this region. Number one is luckily it doesn't affect the membership growth. So the membership growth is still in 2020 is still according to what we anticipated in the budget. So no impact to that. There has been some requests on billing or payment deferment for those who are affected by the pandemic, and we provide that. No time limitation. We will allow people to just take whatever time the members need to catch up with their payment, and luckily, within a few months, usually they're all caught up. So not much impact there. There is a big impact on reduction of APNIC operational costs, particularly from travel, because we can no longer travel. So we got a lot of, pretty much, probably 80% of our travel budget is not used because of that. Also on capital expenditures, also because especially in infrastructure deployment, that didn't happen because we can't travel, we can't ship equipment around the region, so that project didn't happen. So not much impact on revenue, cost is reduced. Also the impact to the APNIC staff itself, luckily is not significant. We have always been able to operate in remotely, most staff, and so this during the peak of the pandemic, we managed to get 100% of our staff working from home, and then as things get better, we are now at a 50% capacity, allowing people to come over up to a 50% of the capacity of the office. And now we are even going to be make it easier for staff to just come, and only the only restriction that we have now is just maintain a 1.5 meter distance from each other, and that's where it stands at the moment. So all in all, we're not too much impacted. The members are also not impacted, but we help defer payment for those who need it. So that's an update on the COVID-19 impact in our region. So that's my update. Thank you very much for the time, and happy to receive any questions or email or online. Thank you.
Well, thank you everybody for inviting us to give this update with the main highlights of at LACNIC during this 2020. I'm going to start with the LACNIC services and the attention to our regional community. I think that the most relevant highlight in LACNIC during this 2020 was the IPv4 exhaustion. During August, we finished our pool of IPv4 addresses for the first time in LACNIC history. We were not able to attend a specific request for IPv4 space. So that was during this year. As you can see, during that time, we received, we doubled the number of requests that we usually receive in the services area. That was almost at the same time we implemented transfers, inter-RIR transfers. And if you can see this little red bar, that's the number of transfer requests for transfers that we received since we implemented the inter-RIR transfers with the other 3 of the registries that allow this kind of services. One relevant element of our service is to address the customer needs. So we conduct a customer satisfaction survey every 2 years to identify those needs and to know how we are conducting our services, how is perceived this satisfaction by our but by all of our customers. So 2020, during 2020, we received the highest level of satisfaction, customer satisfaction, with 98% of the top 2 boxes responses. That's the highest level in LACNIC history. But also the best answer grew from 68% to 81%, which is the highly satisfied answer. Following with our community, the statutory electoral processes, we conduct 3 different statutory electoral processes every year. 2 for commissions, the Fiscal Commission and the Electoral Commission, and 1 for the LACNIC board. We had the same turnout for the 3 elections with 12%, and that is a little bit less than the highest point, not a little bit, almost a half of the 20%, which was the highest point in 2018. There were 5 seats filled in these elections. And as you know, we were the first RIR event to move into a virtual one, and we had only 5 weeks to come up with this format. We had around 1,000 participants in each event, although physical attendance are not comparable with virtual participants. Something worth to mention is that we were able to organize these 2 events with this level of satisfaction. As you can see, we had a 93% and 98% of satisfaction in each of the events. And that was not by accident, but mainly for the strong community we have built in all these years. I mean, the previous work we have done with the community, and also the ability to react to this situation. But I think that we need to get back soon to physical events to keep this permanent building process. Last year, we update our community code of conduct, and we introduced the concept of trusted representatives. They are staff and community members designated by the LACNIC board, and the role is to provide support to the community as well as information regarding this code of conduct. Also, one of our main efforts were conducted through the online training, which is the LACNIC campus. We have a very good offer of training courses in different topics, mostly technical topics related with our activities. But last year we introduced the IPv6 in massive networks and introduction to internet governance. Also, last year we published the introduction of our internet routing registry, taking advantage of the authoritative information that we have at the registry. By mid-year in June, we realized that we had a very low execution of expenses, nearly 60%. So we presented 60 initiatives from different topics, but most of them related to our customers, 80% of them related to our customers and our community, to try to reduce this lack of execution. So by the end of the year, we were able to do most of what we had to do with the little affectation to our community. Finally, last but not least, historically, we have been paying a lot of attention to the workplace. This year, with even more energy trying to alleviate the additional stress by the pandemic, we received 2 awards from 2019 evaluation. And this year, 2020, we conducted the employee assessment, and we maintained the positive feedback of 93%. And that assessment was done during the most part of the pandemic, which is October. So it appears that some of our efforts seem to have been effective with this situation. So that was our update. Thank you for your attention.
I'm Hans-Petter Holen, the Managing Director of the RIPE NCC. Compliance is high on our agenda in 2021. In order to maintain an accurate registry, we need to do proper due diligence on updates. As this can be time-consuming, we have streamlined our processes where authenticity can easily be verified, so that we can spend our resources on updates that are not that straightforward. We firmly believe that political sanctions should not affect our services. The Dutch Ministry of Foreign Affairs is of the opinion, however, that IP address transfers is covered by the EU sanctions. We have established more elaborate checks of our members and their controlling parties. To do this, we're using a third-party service to identify potentially sanctioned members. After further investigation, which might require requesting more elaborate documentation from the members, the decision on what action to take is made by an internal sanctions committee. We have a large amount of IPv6 addresses available, and there is a waiting list for the bits and pieces of v4 that is still there. You may have already seen our announcement to retire the RPKI validator on 1st of July this year. This is partly because there are several good alternatives, but also to focus our resources on the core RPKI service. With the introduction of RPKI to secure the internet routing system, we have become an integral part of the operations of the internet. As a result of this, we're seeing an increased focus on documented compliance from our members and on the community at large. Not only for the registry, but also for the RPKI service. We're currently building a control framework with the goal to have a third-party attestation report publicly available. From the very beginning, a key element is building and operating the internet has been knowledge sharing. I'm quite proud of the work done by my colleagues in developing the RIPE NCC Certified Professionals Program. As a result of the pandemic, we have adapted all our in-person training courses to webinars, and we still have managed to update the e-learning courses in the RIPE NCC Academy. RARs are all about the numbers, but with the numbers comes the reverse lookup in IANA.ARPA, and here we have added new sites to improve the service. RIPE Atlas software probes are now available on several platforms, and for RIPE Stats, we're moving parts of the service to the cloud and have improved monitoring of the service. The BGP Play also have some new features. Right now, we're creating a new coordination team for security, risk, and compliance. The goal here is to align the company-wide risk framework, RPKI compliance, and registry compliance and IT security. The overall goal is to increase trust through increased security and compliance, but we also need to verify this by external audits. We have several open positions in this area, from security engineers to as Chief Information Security Officer. Last but not least, we're improving the usability of our services. Academy got a new look in the beginning of last year. RIPE Stats and RIPE Atlas have a new user experience, and soon RIPE Labs will be on a new look and feel. Finally, I would like to welcome you all to RIPE 82 in a month's time, this year starting on the Norwegian Constitution Day, May 17th. Welcome. With that, thanks for listening.
Hi, my name is Kim Davies, and this is an update on the IANA functions for the past year. The IANA functions involve the global coordination of the unique identifiers that are needed for interoperability on the internet. We typically divide these functions into 3 areas. One of these 3 areas is number resources, comprised of the IP addresses and autonomous system numbers that are managed by the RARs. We allocate large blocks of these addresses for the RARs, who then provide them to local network operators in accordance with their regional policies. Our most recent allocation to ARIN was in late 2019 and was composed of a /12 block of IPv6 unicast address space. In addition to allocations, we service the inada.arpa and IP6.arpa DNS zones and coordinate with RARs the appropriate delegations to ensure reverse DNS services. We also offer a number of support services for these core activities. One of them I'd like to highlight today is a dashboard that allows you to drill down into allocation trends that inform how IANA allocates resources. This is something that we've built with feedback from the RARs and provides greater transparency into the allocation methodology employed in the global policies. You can find this dashboard on our website. Also on our website, you can find performance reporting relating to the number resource functions, as well as other IANA functions. There, you will find monthly reporting for each of our functional areas. And in the case of root zone management, we also offer a real-time dashboard. In addition to this performance reporting, the RAR community performs an annual review of the IANA functions. I'm pleased to report the recently released annual review, which covers 2020, found no issues of concern. We also have an annual third-party audit conducted according to the SOC 2 framework. These findings are provided to our RAR partners. More generally, we recently conducted an annual survey of our customers. We're delighted to share that we've received our highest marks to date for customer satisfaction. This was underscored by findings just last month, where we had 100% customer satisfaction across all of our customer segments. This is a first for us. Operationally, we've been fortunate. We've not been significantly impacted by the coronavirus pandemic. Our team started working from home in late February of 2020. And since then, we've continued to meet our performance targets in all of our service areas. This gives us confidence in our ability to successfully deliver the IANA functions in future disaster recovery scenarios. One specific area where we had to significantly modify operations is our root zone KSK ceremonies. We conduct these ceremonies to administer the trust anchor for the DNS in an open and transparent way. The unique design of our approach is intended to foster trust in the integrity of the cryptography used to secure the DNS. This is in contrast to the secrecy used in comparable key management for other applications. We typically hold these events every 3 months, and they involve participants from around the world. Some of these participants are from the RAR community. The pandemic has meant that we have had to significantly alter our approach. We continue to hold these ceremonies with increased remote participation and compensating controls to ensure security is not diminished. We're hopeful that these ceremonies can resume in their normal approach later this year. As we continue to adapt and evolve our operations, not only in the face of the pandemic, but in response to evolution that is happening throughout our communities, we would love to hear your feedback on areas where we can enhance our effectiveness. We welcome our ideas on how we can improve our participation in community events after the recent pause in activity caused by the various travel restrictions. Thank you for listening.